I shall.
Marceno.
Good day, stranger.
Marceno fidgets nervously. He grins, hopefully at you. Any luck finding the captain's chest? Arismital says, "Here you are, contents intact." Marceno says, "Yeah, you did it. I mean, I knew you would, but, oh thank you, it's all here. You've saved my life. Ren, truly I owe you one. Here, the week's wages, like I promised." Arismital says, "You know, I did just save your life." Marceno says, Oh, of course. Let me think. Oh, I know. You can have this." Marceno reaches for an amulet around his neck and hands it to you. "It's all I have. Hope it brings you some luck."
Hello.
Marceno nods at you. "Hey there." Oda says, "Have you found my Derin yet?" This is bad. To be the bearer of bad news to someone like this. Arismital says, "Tell me more about their disappearance." "What do you want to know?" says Oda. Arismital says, "Tell me about Derin." The ghost of a smile flickers across Oda's lips. He's a brave lad, if a little too bold for his own good. He's always been dutiful son and a gentle brother. He got dark hair, quick eyes, and a ready smile. When you find him, you'll recognize him in a heartbeat. I'm sure of it. Arismital says, "Tell me about Wade." Oda scowls and brushes a greasy strand of hair from her face. Sometimes I don't know whether to rejoice or rue that he comes home as often as he does. He spends most of his time and all of our money drinking at the brothel, as ever since. Oda's gaze returns to the silent cradle. Arismital asks, "Where did you see them last?" Okay, why did Oda's gaze directed towards the silent cradle? Does it have, maybe it has something to do with the flashback that we got from Darin's corpse? About Darin's father, about Darin's sibling being born as a holoborn, and the father wanted to kill the baby, I thought. Is that the baby, the silent cradle? Arismital asks, "Where did you see them last?" Oda says, "Wade was taking Darin fishing at the docks. That was 2 days ago." Arismital says, "I have no more questions." Oda says, "I'd be out on the docks and looking myself, but I can't leave the baby." Oda's eyes wander to a crib and she lowers her voice. "I don't dare take a holoborn out. What with the violence near the brothel?" "Oh, so the holoborn is still alive?" Arismital asks, "You have a holoborn, baby?" The answer is etched plainly on Oda's face. White One's legacy is as potent in Defiance Bay as anywhere. People are scared, and they are looking for someone to blame, whether it's those women at the brothel or the families of these poor babes. Adair says, "Might be nice if a god or two stepped in and set people straight, but maybe that's just me. Perhaps they have specific rules on what they can or cannot do." Oda sighs and watches the motionless cradle. "I don't approve of what goes on at Maya's place, but these attacks won't earn us the god's mercy, and it's only made it harder to earn a living." Can I quit? Can I quit the conversation? I want to talk with Wade first. Dang it. Alright, Arismital says, "I found Darin." Oda says, "Thank the mother, thank the sea mother. Where is he?" Arismital says, "You may want to sit down. Darin won't be coming back." Oda's mouth falls open, and she stares back in shock. "My boy's dead. That cannot be. What happened?" Arismital says, "Darin was defending one of the prostitutes from a couple of thugs. He was very brave, and you should be proud." Should I say that to a grieving mother? To be proud of her dead son? What if she respond negatively? Maybe she would say, "Proud? Proud of my dead son? I love my son, but he's dead now. What is there to be proud about his action defending a prostitute that leads him to death?" What if she would answer that way? Should I be rational? Or should I be passionate? I think the mother deserved the full story, and I will brace for negative response. I hope there won't be any. Arismital says, Darren was defending one of the prostitutes from a couple of thugs. He was very brave, and you should be proud. Oda sobs and quickly brings a hand to her mouth. Her eyes are bright with tears. Oda says, Gods, how could this make it any better? I would never have let my boy die for one of those women, and yet... Oda chokes into her sleeve. I can only pray the gods will be kinder to him in the next life. Maybe there's hope for one of my children. See? See? She said it. I would never have let my boy die for one of those women. Yeah, I mean... She loves her son more than she loves other people. She would trade her son's life for other people's lives. She's his mother. The reason I chose that option because she deserves to know why her son died. After several seconds, Oda closes her eyes and swallows. I suppose it's better to know the truth than to keep wondering. Thank you at least, for bringing me answers. Here, take this. I'd been saving several keepsakes for Darren one day, but he won't need them now, and I doubt I'll have another child to pass them on to. Wait, task completed? What about the addendum? Regarding the dagger with the initial of letter B. I picked up a dagger with the letter B engraved upon it. Yeah, I thought so. So I just closed the quest prematurely without having the chance to follow up on this addendum. Dang it. Okay. I hate this.
I shall.
You fought for the Deerwood in the Saints' War?
You better grab a couple pints before you get me going on that one.
No complaints here.
Wait a minute. Is this at the point where I have finished Marceno's quest? Let's check it out. I returned the stolen sea chest to a very grateful Marceno. Yep, it's cleared. I remember there is a man named Wade in the Salty Mast. That's why I came here. Wade says, can't a man drink in peace? What? I thought there's going to be dialogue options. In relation to the dagger, perhaps. Okay, how can I use this addendum to find the killer? I picked up a dagger with the letter B engraved upon it. It most likely belonged to Darren's killer. Thug's dagger. This dagger has an ornate handle and a bee carved into the pommel. Okay, where should I take this? wh- how this dagger would be useful in order for me to follow a lead on this bee, whoever they are. Should I go to Kurnd? Maybe she knows about this. Or should I go to Igrun, the one who sold the dagger with the March steel, to Two-Tone Wixel? Or should I show this to Gordy? It seems he likes dagger. Maybe he knows about this dagger. First, let's go to Kurnd and let's see if he knows anything about it.
Kalu's always telling me to watch my language, especially around the kids. Guess I haven't had a reminder in a while.
What happened?
One of them heard me tell a joke about a glam-felon youth with frostbite somewhere sensitive. Kids repeat everything.
I meant just now.
Jam my thumb. Nothing big.
Okay, I missed this dialogue audio, so let me read it. Sagani says, son of a moose. Son of a moose. How can I say to make it PG? Son of a moose effer. Allah says, I beg your pardon. Sagani says, yeah, you heard the rest of that voice. Remind me not to immediately use the map each time I change location, because there might be conversations getting triggered and I could have missed it. Interesting. No dialogue options regarding the dagger. Okay, is it daylight already? Hour 6. Okay. So if it's daylight, it means the tide is decreasing. Oh, I can't go down here? Okay, never mind. Oh wait, the tide is still on? What is going on? Let's see if Gordy knows anything about this dagger. It seems like he's a fan or a connoisseur of daggers. And if that fails, we'll check out with Igrun. Any new dialogue? No? Alright. Oh, no. What is going on? Amor says, you asked me for one and I said no. Not until you are older and more responsible. Do you remember this conversation? Gordy's eyes are fixed on the ground in front of him. Yes, sir. Amor says, and yet I find you out here, playing with a blade that clearly belongs to the knights. Do you see the problem? Gordy says, I didn't steal it, honest. I traded a secret for it. Gordy points at you. Ask him. Amor turns to you. Is what my son says true? Arismital says, he wants to be a crucible knight. I thought it was a good way to get him started in an honorable profession. Amor stares at you for a moment, then shakes his head. Well, I still don't approve of my boy having a weapon, but I'm glad he's no thief. You can keep the blade, but I'll be holding on to it until you are a squire with the knights. Yay! Congratulations, Gordy, you get to keep your dagger. Amor says, come along, Gordy. I won't have you loitering out here all day. Okay, I'm glad that ends in a win-win situation. The father kept the dagger, so Gordy would not, would not get into trouble. And Gordy still get to have it once he became a squire. But now Gordy's is missing. That means I can't ask Gordy about this dagger. Maybe Igrun.
Gods keep you.
Igrun says, anything in particular you'd like to see? Oh, no dialogue options pertaining to the dagger. But I'll buy your locker picks. While we're here, let's do Mestre Verzano's request to meet this contact or buyer or seller, I don't remember, about some kind of seeds. Is it the bitter squash seeds? Gareth. A man skulks near the bar. He seems like he's trying to blend in with the wood paneling, and he watches the other patrons out of the corner of his eye. He gives you a quick nod as you approach. Arismital asks, what do you do here? Gareth says, me? I'm just minding my own business. Arismital says, of course. You're standing by yourself in the corner of a tavern and you're not drinking anything. Not suspicious at all. Or should I choose the rational option? Arismital says, maybe I should ask some of these other patrons what that business is. Gareth's nervous eyes dart around the room. Keep it down, will ya? I really am here to do business, but it's the kind of thing that requires discretion, and unless a mutual friend has sent you to me, that's all I've got to say on the subject.
Greetings.
Gareth peels his gaze away from the bar. Yeah? Arismital says, Verzano has a delivery for you. Gareth glances around and snatches the pouch from you. Keep your voice down, will ya? The Dominoes have spies everywhere. Gareth tucks the pouch away. You tell Verzano, this is the last time I'm buying from him. This is getting too dangerous for me. You have lost an item, bitter squash seeds. Arismital says, tell me, what was in that pouch? Gareth says, bitter squash seeds. They interrupt pregnancies, even though they're not exactly legal. Many folk nowadays prefer them to the risk of hollowborn or celibacy. Gareth pulled a wry frown. So it's an abortion pill? Interesting. Arismital asks, did I just do something illegal? Gareth says, no. He grins weakly. Arismital asks, what do the Dominoes have to do with this? Gareth says, you have no idea, do you? Let's just say that the Dominoes have exclusive rights to trade certain merchandise within the city. Verzano likes to make some extra coin from time to time by dealing in the same merchandise, undercutting the competition, he says. Arismital says, I don't think I've heard of the Dominoes. Gareth says, the more important thing is making sure they don't hear of you. They're old Brackenberry stock, but these days the Dominoes are known for their business activities, most of which involve some degree of bribery, extortion, theft, or murder. Arismital asks, are we done? Gareth says, yeah, we're done. Now get out of here before... Dana, a woman swaggers in, her polished boots thwacking the floor with slow, deliberate steps. A crooked sneer warps her smooth face. Gareth, I'm hurt. You promised to buy only from me. What's a girl to think? Gareth bows, his knees knocking together. Please, my lady. I was just explaining that I don't do business with anyone else. Dana says, except this one last time, right? Dana crosses her arms and rocks back on her heels. There's always one more deal, until you run out of credit, that is. Dana turns and regards you, looking you up and down. And just who are you? You don't exactly look like a seed dealer. Aloth glances at Gareth. I think that's a compliment. House Domino's slight positive. Should I do this? Yeah, why not? Arismital says, no one to be trifled with. Dana's grin widens. I just might have a use for someone like you. Verzano put you up to this, didn't he? That old fool's on a sinking ship, and he's determined to drag anyone who gets close enough down with him. Dana eyed the trembling Gareth. Gareth here knew better, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. In fact, I'll also give you a chance to get even with the imbecile who's been playing us both. Dana narrows her eyes. What do you say to killing Verzano? Arismita asks, why would I want to do that? Dana says, why wouldn't you? He's used you to do his dirty work, and without telling you anything about what you were carrying or who you were crossing. Dana taps a finger to her jaw, and her voice slows. Of course, I'd also consider it a personal favor, and House Doemenal is never stingy with its friends. She glances at Gareth. The loyal ones, anyway. Arismital says, tell me about the Doemenals. Dana says, I don't know whether to be relieved or insulted. We're one of the wealthiest merchant families in Defiance Bay. Let's just say, however, that some of our business practices are not officially sanctioned. Gareth groans and stifles a sob. I don't know how I feel about this. I got this job from Verzano. I want to honor the contract. I don't want to double-cross my employer. Arismital says, I'll decide his fate when I talk to him again. Dana says, you'd better make up your mind quickly, because we're going to pay him his dues one way or another. Just make sure you stay out of our way. Okay, this is a bunch of hard guys, hard people. Not to be trifled with, indeed. Return to Verzano in Ondra's gift. Where is this Gareth? He disappears. Gareth, whoever you are, I hope you're safe. I hope the Dominals do not decide to make you disappear. So, apparently, the passwords that I used to buy items from Kurn, it was encountered in a tattered note from a bandit camp in Black Meadow. It happened so long ago that I don't remember about that note. Okay. What is this? Valiant sailor says I couldn't get in. They said I wasn't refined or prestigious enough for their club. Elitist bastardos. They must be talking about the prestigious gentleman's club in the upper floor of the salty mast. Wait, where is the office? Not the office. Where is the receptionist? What was her name? Liana? She's gone. This is... a premonition to something.
Well met, friend.
Mestre Verzano says, were you able to deliver the package? Arismital says, if you'd told me the Dominals were after you, you could have saved us both a lot of trouble. Mestre Verzano says, the Dominals were there? Verzano's eyes fly open. He tugs at his beard. I was so careful. I always following the Verla Vita. They couldn't have known. What is Verla Vita?
Well, well. Is this your last day among the living, Verzano?
Is that an Italian accent I heard? Or is it Spanish? Or is it Mexican? Palegina. Verzano wrings his hands. Your timing is impeccable, Tella Palegina. The Dominals are after me. Please, you've got to stop them.
As if any of this were ever in my hands. The Republics considered your business worth protecting based on its success. That success depended on cooperation with the locals, like House Dominel. You've lost that. And the favor of the Dukes.
Palegina snorts. Her golden eyes narrow. Arismital does not interrupt.
Even if you get out of this alive, they are done with you. The Dukes have more pressing interest in Defiance Bay than rescuing one merchant who threw himself overboard.
Verzano falls to his knees and clasps his hands together. Have mercy, Palegina. I don't stand a chance against the Dominels. Verzano bites a trembling lip. I've brought failure and shame on myself, but you cannot mean to watch your countrymen die like a dog.
Verzano, Verzano. Why are you wasting your precious breath on me? My orders come through the ambassador, and through the ambassador from people you should be honored ever gave a moment's thought to whether you live or die.
Palegina stares at Verzano for a long moment. The nictitating membranes of her eyes slide out and back before she continues.
You don't seem like the sort to petition the gods to keep him out of hell. So why not cry mercy to the one person in this room with the power to grant it?
Aligina turns her attention to you and raises her feathered eyebrows expectantly. Well, I don't want to be on the Dominal's bedside, but Verzano was my initial employer. I believe contracts should be honored, except in very few exceptions. Arismital says, I intend to protect Verzano from the Dominals. Aligina drops her gaze and lightly shakes her head from side to side. Moments later, she turns her eyes to the ceiling in amused disbelief. Why are your actions so condescending? But I like it.
Verzano, you have a saint looking out for you after all.
Aligina strides across the room and takes the already nervous Verzano's head in her feathered hands, a gesture that seems to hover in a dangerously narrow space between caressing and crushing. Ooh, kinky.
Just don't come knocking on the embassy door. Understand?
Verzano replies with a rapid, weak series of nods. Aligina nods back once and gives his face a light slap.
Do as you will. He's no longer my concern.
Aligina turns her feathered head in your direction. Oh, here it is, Dana. Dana saunters through the door, flanked by a squad of Dominal foot soldiers. She lets her gloved hand rest on the hilt of her weapon. A sneer curdles on her face as she looks at you. It seems I was wrong to overlook your blunder. Rest assured, I never make the same mistake twice. Verzano wipes the sheen from his forehead and looks around the warehouse with the wide, fearful eyes of a hunted animal. I cannot thank you enough, Aimiko, but this won't stop the Dominals for long. I've got to get out of here, and I recommend that you do too. Verzano hands you his pistola and gives you a bag of coin with shaking hands. That's all I have after all this ill-fated venture. Thank you again, and please look out for yourself. You have gained 1,000 copper. You have gained an item, forgiveness, added to the stash. Okay, what about the Vailian soldier? Are they also in danger now? I hope not. Alright, so it's over, at least for now, I guess. Verzano's headed back to the Republics in failure and disgrace. It's the homecoming every Vailian fears, says the Vailian soldier. My job is just to guard the crates. I don't ask what's in them. What if the crates contain people. Human trafficking or kith trafficking, hmm?
I'm here. Yes?
Dana, empty? Alright. What shall we do now? Okay, what should we do now? So Verzano is safe. Wait.
Indeed.
Where is the receptionist? Where is she? Is she still missing? I'm worried. Does something happen to her? Is it related to the whole Dominal attack?
Hey, Olaf, can I, talk to your, your friend? What is it about Isilmir? I'm right here, you know. No, you're both great. It's just, well, I feel like I don't get to spend as much time with her, and she's just so funny. I mean, some of the things she says are not nearly as funny when you've been hearing them for 50 years.
Okay, I like this dialogue. For some reason, it's really warm. Like my coochie. Wait, I don't have a coochie. Bragan. The thug's dagger has an engraving of a letter B. Bragan says, I got as much right to stand here as the guys going into that whorehouse. They don't like what I got to say, they can go someplace else. Arismital asks, this belong to you? Showing him the dagger you found on Derin. Bragan says, that's mine, alright, and no one touches my dagger and lives. What? Okay. So he's the one who killed Derin. Attacking him won't bring Derin back, but at least it might give some comfort for the parents who lost their child. But I see no reason at the same time to attack him. Like I said, Derin won't be back. What should I do? Okay. I will try to rationalize this. Do I owe the parents anything? Do I owe Oda something to want to attack Bragan for her sake? Do I owe her anything? Am I underemployed by her? Is she giving me a reward for this? I doubt it. I think Oda is a is living in poverty, what kind of reward she can give to Aris Mittal for attacking Bragan. Should I just let this go? But Aris Mittal doesn't like being threatened like this. Bragan said no one touches my dagger and lives. Aris Mittal does not like being threatened like this. And since it is Bragan who initiated this aggressive sentence, I could say that it was Bragan who initiated the fight. It's not like Aris Mittal is the one who said, "I'll get you for this," or something like that. Right? It was Bragan who said it first. He said, "No one touches my dagger and lives." You made a mistake, Bragan. If you didn't say this, Aris Mittal maybe would have choose to make deals with you instead of embracing your threats. Aris Mittal says, "I'd like to see you try." Okay, so in Aris Mittal's defense, Aris Mittal did not initiate the attack. It was Bragan. He brought this to himself and his friends. Wait, that is Alegina.
Ah, it's done then.
Alegina looks up with a satisfied expression.
Vetsano plays with fire and someone else always pays the price for it. Your charity is more than he deserves. Still, at least I don't have to deal with him anymore. For that, I'm grateful.
Alegina sighs.
Whether you intended to or not, you've done the Valian Republics a service today, ridding us of him. I work closely with the embassy to protect our interests, but lately I think our gaze has been too narrow. You clearly have pursuits of your own in the city, but I think we could help each other out. If you're interested in doing some work for us. Officially, I mean. We can go together and I'll introduce you to the ambassador.
Alegina glances back toward the warehouse and raises her feathered eyebrows. Aris Mittal says, "Not right now." Or should I? Yeah, why not? Let's do this.
I'll need you with me if I'm going to get Ambassador Agosti to listen to me for a change. Let me know when you're ready for me to join you.
Aris Mittal says, "Let's go." Who should I dismiss?
Farewell.
Don't worry, Sagani. I'll get you back later. I just need her for a while. The child of 5 sons Speak to Agosti at the Vailian embassy. Oh no, I just relieved Sagani from the party. Dominal Thug says, "You're making quite a name for yourself with the Dorminals. Pity that it isn't the kind of impression you should be making."
Next time we get the chance, I'm buying you a pint. That means a lot, Adair. Oh, do you want one too? Sorry, I meant for Isilmir. I'll get you one too.
Eder, you troll. Where is this guy I should be meeting, Maybe in the big room, or to my right, perhaps.
Ambassador Agosti, I would speak with you on a matter of some urgency and great importance.
Alegina smiles broadly when she addresses the ambassador. Why is she smiling broadly? Do you have a crush on the ambassador? Vicen Agosti, sighing as though remembering some heavy burden. Vicen crosses his arms before replying. Palegina, if this is the same matter we previously discussed, I doubt I will be convinced any more easily. Arismita says, Ambassador, please, hear her out. The ambassador appraises you for several moments and nods respectfully. You are well known in Defiance Bay, Arismital. He smiles softly, even in the Vailian embassy. Vicen turns his attention back to Palegina. So you're keeping respectable company these days. He throws up his hands and shrugs. Hardly a good reason to go stirring up trouble with animancers and who knows else.
Ambassador, there are issues at stake here that go beyond rogue merchants and the port staying open. Animancy is under attack in Defiance Bay.
Palegina shakes her feathered fists to emphasize her point. Oh no. Don't... so the Vailians are siding with the Animancers. Meaning, they are in direct opposition with the Dozens. Is this work related to that? I'm not sure if I want to be on the bad side of the Dozens. I like to keep a good relation with both the Crucible Knights and the Dozens. They are both the people of this city. They need to stand united. Vicen Agosti says, we have to protect our interests here, but that also means knowing when to avoid unnecessary entanglements. The Animansas and the locals have problems. They'll work them out, or they won't. Either way, there's too much to risk by getting involved.
If it is outlawed here, what would prevent the same from happening in our republics?
Ah, I see. So she wants to meddle in other countries' domestic affairs because she's worried the same thing might happen in Vailia. You know what? I hate this kind of attitude. Foreign countries and foreign nationals meddling in other countries' domestic issues. Well, I mean, there are exceptions that can be made, but in this case, it's like they're trying to how can I say this? To meddle with a people's way of life. I mean, if it comes to Animansas being banned in Defiance Bay or in Deerwood, then it is the way of life that they have chosen. And if you're worried about how Animansas, how Animancy is going to be viewed in Vailia, then you should fight your battle there, in your own country. Not to, move it to Deerwood. And besides, it's not like the dozens, at least from the impression I got, it's not like they are trying to commit a genocide against Animansers, right? I hope not. If they are hoping to commit a genocide against Animansers, or arresting them indiscriminately, yeah, that would be bad. I don't know what will going to happen if Animancy is banned in Deerwood, but I hope it won't come to indiscriminate persecution, arrests, imprisonments, and violence. I hope not. I hope if the Deerwoodans ban Animancy, they will have a reasonable law to exercise that ban, and not just lump every single Animansers in one basket and then crush it. Well, I hope not. Vigen Agosti's face vacillates between expressions of sympathy and frustration. Alegina, I do not think your concerns are unfounded, but it is not the place of this embassy to countermand the Republic's policies. You know what? I don't know where I stand between Animancy and anti-Animancy, so I'll just choose the stoic option, I guess. Arismital says nothing.
What is it the Dukes need of me, Ambassador?
Alegina recovers her determined demeanor. Vigen Agostis says, the Deerwood's instability has created an opportunity for us to take over their trade with Eir Glanfath. We will need to meet with the Glanfathans soon to secure upcoming trade arrangements. The roads to Twin Elms can be dangerous, of course, but that's why you'll be our representative there. Oh, Vailia benefits from Deerwood's instability. They're looking to cut into trade connection with Eir Glanfath. I guess by passing Deerwood, perhaps entirely, and straight to the Glanfathan tribes. Interesting. The ambassador is lucky that Arismital is not a Dirwooden. If he is, he might immediately choose the side of Dirwood because it is his country. However, the ambassador must not realize that Eder is a Dirwooden. I wonder what would Eder say about this. Interesting. Out of all the party members we have, only one of them is a Dirwooden, right? It is Eder. Arismital is from the Examital Plains. Aloth is from Aidir. Kana from Rawatai. Sagani from Nasitak. Durans, I think he's from Dirwood as well, because I remember he sometimes say things like, the last thing that Dirwood needs is a foreign colony, or something like that. Okay, so out of all the 6 people, 2 of them are Dirwoodans, Durans and Eder. I wonder what would Durans and Eder say about this situation.
It shows the ambassador, but won't this provoke the Dirwoodens? Their country is falling apart and we are already dividing up their trade alliances.
Alegina's feathers ruffle, but she speaks with an unusually meek timbre. Vichen Agosti says, provoke them into what? Going to war? Through no fault of the Republic's, the Dirwood's armies have been deprived of an entire generation of soldiers. It would be foolish not to take advantage of the situation. If we don't, the Reat Serans will. It's a matter of if I don't do it, someone else will do it. Is that it? Interesting. You know, I am from Examital. My priority is not Dirwood, or Vailia, or Reatseros. But I understand that 2 of my members are Dirwoodens, and I need to keep the group cohesion solid. Maybe I should, at least in public, cater or pander to both Durans and Eder. Arismital says, Ambassador, that's some cold compassion, considering what these people have been through.
More than that, Ambassador, there is a practical element to consider. We may profit in the short term from this arrangement, but what of the future? The Dirwood won't forget, and the Republics may pay the price for it.
Vichen Agustis sighs, we're not the Dukes, Alegina. It's their decision, and our job to carry out the orders. It's not like they're asking you to assassinate someone. Yeah, interesting. Alegina raises an eyebrow and clenches her jaw, but remains silent. Vichen Agosti says, Alegina, Palegina. He shakes his head. Go to Twin Elms, speak to the Anamenfath, impress upon her the instability of the Dirwood, and reassure her of the Vailian Republic's desire to open safe trade.
Of course, Ambassador.
After a long and uncomfortable pause, Alegina exhales deeply, the lids of her eyes closing briefly as she slumps in acceptance. Alegina is disappointed. The ambassador nods and smiles. Eternally. He then looks to you. I know you plan on investigating this crisis together, but I hope you understand Alegina's responsibilities. Arismital says, I understand, but we're still going to investigate it, responsibilities or not. Vichen bristles and turns to Alegina. Will the dukes need to hear more about Alegina Mes Reis' wild adventures?
Of course not, Ambassador. I will attend to the unamend fault as soon as I am able to travel to Twin Elms.
Alegina holds up her hands. Vichen Agosti says, good. Now if you will excuse me.
Could have gone better. Could have gone worse. I appreciate that you stood up for me, but it's hard to persuade the Ambassador to go against the Duke's orders.
Arismital says, I know you're right, Alegina. We may find a way for you to fulfill your obligations while looking into what's really going on around here. Don't worry.
Enough wisdom for both of us. Now, I just need to find out how to get to Twin Elms before the Ambassador loses his patience.
Alegina pauses in thought. Still, I fear that making this deal with the Glanfathans will further weaken the Deerwood and make trouble for the republics in the years to come. Yeah, I understand. I mean, if Deerwood became more destabilized, then the excess of that situation might affect Vaelia. Right? For example, if there is a conflict in Deerwood, civil war, or maybe a renewed war with Glanfathan tribes, expect refugees. What if the refugees reach Vaelia? Then it's going to be a burden for Vaelia. I think it's important for Vaelia to at least do not contribute to the further destabilizing of its neighbors. Right? Yeah, it's similar to the current situation. People are complaining about refugees, but they forgot that they should criticize the governments who decide to launch invasions and wars in other lands, which create refugees in the first place. But they don't want to see that. Instead, they just want to criticize the symptom instead of the cause. No more wars, I think, is ideal. Wars create displaced group of people, and these displaced, they will become refugees, and when they become refugees they will be trouble for the other countries of destination. And then the people complain, oh, refugee, but they don't complain about the wars in the first place. Confusing. Arismital says, I don't want to tell her to follow her heart, and I also don't want to tell her to follow orders. Maybe I should just choose option number 1. Arismital. What should I say, huh? Arismital says, well, it's a long way to Twin Elms. You'll have plenty of time to think it over.
Verus.
Paligina nods and sighs. What does Verus mean? Is it, oh dear, Verus? Help Paligina broker a trade arrangement. Ring finger. Okay, the murderer's grave, right? The hunt for Nithens remains proof difficult, as the Glanfathans lied incessantly to cover for those who were responsible. An Orlan Brishalguin helped Nasu sort the truth out, eventually recovering every part of the dead murderer's body. Though the Glanfathans were more than willing to lie about what they had done, none of them turned violent when Nasu and the Brishalguin confronted them. An Anamfath ordered the Brishalguin to bury the body in a new location that was less well-traveled than the paths near Sliaban Rilag. Upon returning to Kaitnua, Nasu realized that the Anamfath had never asked for Nithen's ring finger to be returned. Nithen's finger. Tied to a simple leather cord, this finger once belonged to a notorious Glanfathan murderer. Locals exhumed his body to create sacred objects, but you assisted the Glanfathan Anamfatha in recovering it, despite insisting that the body be buried in a new secret location. The Anamfatha never asked you to return the finger that had been found at the killer's original grave. Alright. Now where can I change my parties? I want to change my parties.
Have you ever chased a skirt wizard? Or do you merely hide behind them?
Don't pawn your personal problems off on me.
They will use you, cast you off when it suits them, never speak another word to you.
Maybe they just don't answer to fiery whore.
What does Durance mean by chasing skirt? You mean chasing women? Actor says, your time has come, Sigram. Your life is at its end. Olaf then, she calls to me, the pallid night. And you have such poor luck with women as it is. I cannot die yet. My children. What of my children? But you have no children. Of course I do, you fool. A wealth of them. Great armfuls of golden golden-haired tots, all of whom I love dearly. Audience member says, ha.
Welcome.
Gores.
Alright. Now where should we go? Back to Ondra's gift. We need to tell Oda about the aftermath of our investigation.
Who's a good boy? Who needs his belly scratched?
There. Are you talking to Itumak? Oda. Oda says, have you found my Derin yet? Arismital says, I think I've chosen this before the quick load, right? Arismital says, Derin was murdered. I'm so sorry. Oda's mouth falls open, and she stares back in shock. My boy's dead. That cannot be. What happened? Arismital says, Derin was defending one of the prostitutes from a couple of thugs. He was very brave, and you should be proud. Oda sobs and quickly brings a hand to her mouth. Her eyes are bright with tears. Oda says, Gods, how could this make it any better? I would never have let my boy die for one of those women, and yet she chokes into her sleeve. I can only pray the gods will be kinder to him in the next life. Maybe there's hope for one of my children. After several seconds, she closes her eyes and swallows. I suppose it's better to know the truth than to keep wondering. Thank you at least for bringing me answers. Here, take this. I've been saving several keepsakes for Derin one day, but he won't need them now, and I doubt I'll have another child to pass them on to. My poor boy. Arismital did not mention about the murderer at all. Interesting. My poor boy, says Oda. Why didn't Arismital tell Oda about the fate of the murderer? To give this grieving mother some comfort. Why did you just stay silent about it? Huh? I don't understand.
I'm here. I'm here.
Bring back the feisty one. There's a woman can do some damage squeezing her legs together.
It isn't a parlor trick. Besides, she doesn't take orders well.
She has backbone, that woman. Does it scare you?
No, but I won't be responsible for what happens if you call her whore.
Ah, I see. So it is Duran's habit to call a woman a whore, just like the way he calls his goddess whore. Interesting. I thought it's born out of hate or malice. But I guess it's just his habit of using the word whore. Alright, time to go to Breckenbury and meet with this lady Webb.
In Jacoa, we have a memorial for the Saints' War. They say a Rawatai artillery master contributed to the Godhammer bomb. I wondered
Of course. You want Rawatai to be a part of this history. Crow about how your people helped the Deerwood. Maybe your Ranganui lied, Amawa.
On second thought, I'll ask Adair.
Durans, come on. Don't be so hostile to your party mates. Sanitarium. Hadrat House. Lady Webb is at Hadrat's house, right? So let's go down here first.
I shall.
Animansa says, just hear me out. With this procedure, her soul would be returned intact, more or less. More or less? Is that how you plan on presenting your idea to Ethel Moer? Why? Not good? Not good. Two Animansers are talking with each other. There are three nobles. Nice to see you. We need more reasonable people in Defiance Bay. It's good someone's fixing the lighthouse. Ondra's gift needs some class. The Charred Barrel is the finest inn in the city. if you're looking for lodging. Despite what you may have heard, nothing unusual goes on at the sanitarium. We're very lucky to have Dunreid Row based in Brackenbury. It makes the district feel safer. Nice to see you. The marble is cool and perfectly smooth. Droplets of crystal clear water bead the statues. Lera Resan. What is this? Older robed man? The same apparition we saw down in the catacombs before we met the acolyte. As you near the apparition, you are overcome suddenly by a powerful anxiety that sits like a stone in your stomach. The feeling is not quite real, the recollection of an emotion rather than the emotion itself. It wrenches your insides, nevertheless. The apparition brows is tensed, a look of concern plain across its face.
The other missionaries say you have been neglectful of your duties.
Arismital says, my mind has been elsewhere.
Oh? And what troubles you?
The apparition raises its eyebrows. The pain in your stomach deepens, and you feel for a moment as though you are about to be sick. Your mouth has gone dry. Arismital says, forgive me, Eminence. I wish to leave the order. The man folds his fingers together and presses them to his mouth. Thoughtful.
You have been an apt student, and your convictions have inspired those around you. May I ask what has changed to make you feel this way?
Arismital says, should I choose number 1 or 4? I'm confused. But I'm curious what would the response is if I choose number 1. Arismital says, the people we intended to convert, they committed unspeakable acts, sacrifices, mutilations. The apparition exhales slowly, and its lips press together, a sympathetic rapport in its eyes. It places its hand on your shoulder.
These are the ways of the heathen world.
Arismital says, surely the gods would do better to destroy us all and start anew.
Perhaps they would. It may come to that one day. This is why we must not fail. The heathens are beyond the gods' reach. They do not know better. We are tasked with delivering them to the gods, so that the gods may heal their souls.
The older robed man chuckles mirthlessly. Arismital asks, is such a thing possible?
I have seen it with my own eyes. You will see it too, if you choose to remain.
The spectre smiles wearily.
There is no greater calling than the one we have chosen. Neither words, nor wealth, nor battle will end this suffering. Only the gods. Will you give them that chance?
The knot in your stomach seems to loosen all at once, and the anxiety is replaced with something else entirely. Something warm and soothing, and it is something you know you can never repay. As the vision fades, you start to become cognizant of the many odd looks aimed in your direction. Your last response echoes in your mind. I will. So this is Arismital past lives then? Just like Myrwald? Just like Aloth in Iselmir?
Gods keep you.
Courier says, Excuse-moi, but I've been looking for you. You're the one who lifted the curse on Heritage Hill. My lady, who wishes to remain anonymous, has entrusted me with bringing you this pistola. It belonged to a dear friend of hers who was lost to the curse. For your part in reclaiming Heritage Hill, my lady wishes you to have it. Here may it serve you well in battle. Arismital asks, Is this all? I'd have expected more. Courier says, I am but a courier and only do what I am asked. Saint Garam's spark. Courier says, Now I must be off. Farewell. You're so slow, you could not catch up with the courier. So who is this dear friend that also become the victim of the curse at Heritage Hill? Let's find out. I wonder if we will find out through conversations. I hope so. The marble at the base has been worn smooth by the passage of hundreds of feet. Dunried agent Kuren's wasting his time with those disappearances. Lady Webb is in charge of Hadrat House, but she rarely deals with anyone personally. There are no secrets in Defiance Bay, not while we're around. You bunch of stalkers. Kuren says a link. Yes, I'm certain of it. Who is this Kuren? The moons of Eora. Oh, look up into the night sky and you'll see the moon Belafa. Ubiquitous and persistent, she remains forever in view, but also forever out of reach. What many people do not know, however, is that our world is actually orbited by two moons, Belafa and Kaulutha. Belafa, hanging low and large in the sky, Belafa travels swiftly in her race around the world, completing an orbit in about 18 days. This proximity and speed can cause extreme tide conditions in some areas, making the sea shift so quickly and rise too high that there are some beautiful coastal areas that are virtually uninhabitable for a good portion of the year. Before we learn the truth behind the cause of the tides, legend held that Ondra, the goddess of the sea, was in love with the moon, and when she saw it in the sky, the tides, great waves and violent storms that happened were her attempts to reach it. This is why the moon is formally called Sen Belafa, or Ondran Belafa, the beloved, or Ondra's beloved. Kaulutha, 350 years ago, the Grand Empire of Valia suffered from terrible storms and terrifyingly high and low tides. Records show the same thing was happening in the Idir Empire, and that several new Idirian colonies along the Deerwood coast were completely destroyed by storms and high tides that engulfed the settlements. At that time, during an eclipse, Glenfathan astronomers spotted something small orbiting near the edge of Belafar. After much study, they realized it was a small satellite with an extremely irregular orbit. They called it Kaulu the Deb, or the Black Runner. Since it was smaller than Belafar, it doesn't have much effect on the world, but when it aligns with Belafar's orbit, it wreaks havoc on the tides and weather everywhere. This happens with an erratic frequency and severity, and have been dubbed lava's tides. Kaulutha has been rolled into the Ondra myth, and when they are both inside, our desire to reach them is increased tenfold, which is what causes the terrible weather.
Good day to you.
Kuren. The Orlan man is surrounded by books and scrolls. His wiry hair stands nearly on end, and his ears prick up as you approach. You carry whispers, kite nua, gilded veil, old voices. Indeed. Arismital says. How did you know? Kuren grins, revealing a row of dagger-pointed teeth. As a cipher, it's my job to know these things. You carry the whiff of ancients. What? Arismitos asks. What else can you tell me? Kuren's ears twitch downward. Not as much as I would like, unfortunately. My duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. Kuren regards a table piled with scrolls. Okay, what does he mean when he said, Arismital smells of ancient? Kuren asks, what brings you to Dunried Row? Oh, I remember this option number 1. It's a job from, what's his name? The trainer at Atmeth's Den. The one who got kicked out of the Crucible Knights. What's his name again? Osric? Was it Osric? Arismital shows Kuren Penhelm's affidavit. Is this affidavit real? It's signed by you. Kuren holds the page but seems to stare through the words, as if at something woven in the fabric of the paper. Kuren bares his pointed teeth. I remember Penhelm, a preening peacock of a man, his mouth dry and hands moist, when I told him he was a sole descendant of an Idiran general, one who'd fought against Hadred's rebellion. Oh. Kuren scans the affidavit, a forgery, and not the first I've seen. Kuren hands it back to you, but I've no time for the knights and their obsessions. Bring this to Commander Cleaver and show him the seal. Kuren points to the wax stamped by his forged signature. If he compares it with another, he should be able to spot the difference. Aloth's gaze flickers to you. Doom a man for the soul the gods gave him? Seems rather unfair. Alright, Aloth. I will go with what you wish. We shall not show this to Commander Cleaver. But maybe we can use this, hopefully we can use this to blackmail Penhelm to get some profits, right? Arismital says, it looks as though you could use some help. Kuren says, so many secrets and trails in the city. You have to but turn a corner to find a fresh trace of something stolen or something missing. He flicks an ear. Unfortunately, we haven't the time to investigate them all. I'm supposed to be working on other matters, but my mind still lingers on a few recent cases. Curse of a cipher, to be ruled by the whims of curiosity. Iris Mittal asks, why can't you look into these cases? Kuren pins his ears back. A matter of priorities, says Lady Webb. Many problems in Defiance Bay these days. Problems with more than a few missing persons at stake. Iris Mittal says, tell me about these cases. Kuren says, one case or three, depending on how you look at it. He taps his clawed fingers together. 3 weeks and a disappearance at the end of each. Every 3 weeks? Some might call it coincidence. I call it a clue. Lady Webb knows you, trusts you, so I shall trust you too, so long as our interests are aligned. Iris Mittal says, I'll look into it. Where should I start? Sagani bounces on the balls of her feet, just like one of those violin whodunits. Read a few of those on the road, helps pass the time. What? What are you saying? Violin whodunits? You mean like a mystery novel? Kuren grins, razor-tipped teeth showing between his lips. Copper Lane, Ondra's gift, and Breckenberry, of course, to talk to the ones who reported the disappearances. The only ones who know enough to care. Laura, Oli, and Elega. Iris Mittal asks, who's missing? 2 men, 1 woman. Lendry, Kendall, and Cora. Oh, okay. Who was the previous leads? I forgot already. Dang it. Iris Mittal says, tell me about Lendry. Kuren says best to ask Oli. Seems they drank together at the salty mass in Ondra's gift. Also, seems that no one else knew him well enough to miss him. One of Kuren's ears twitches. Okay, ask about Lendry to Oli at the salty mast. Lendrioli. Iris Mittal says, tell me more about Kendall. Kuren says, reported missing by Elega, a dwarf who carried traces of. Kuren closes his eyes and sniffs the air. Fine wine and young dandies. Plenty of time and money to spend on her pleasures. Try Breckenberry. Oh, a dwarf woman. Kendall Elega. Okay, Lendrioli on a salty mast. Kendall Elega, Breckenberry. And now, Iris Mittal says, tell me more about Cora. Kuren says, sister of Laura, one of the merchants in the Copper Lane Bazaar. Not the kind of person who would just disappear, it seems. Laura was most distraught. I think a visit from someone sympathetic will raise her spirits. Okay, Cora Laura at the merchants area in the Copper Lane Bazaar. Iris Mittal asks, did you find any leads? Kuren says, not yet. No obvious connection between the victims. Which is what makes me wonder so. Kuren runs his hand along the length of one ear. Could be animancy related. Researchers always need subjects, the less scrupulous types in particular. Kuren pauses. deep in concentration. Seems too risky for the sanitarium, but one never knows. Oh, Kuren is speculating it might be connected to animancy. Animancers needing subjects, perhaps, so they kidnap people? Wow. If this is true, I'm beginning to see what the dozens. I'm beginning to see the justification of the dozens' anti-animancy stance. Aloth folds his arms. I wouldn't put it past them. What? Aloth. Are you familiar with the animancers at the sanitarium? The way you spoke about it. Kuren waves a hand. Talk first to the people who reported our victims missing. Mayhap you will catch something I missed. Arismital says, let me ask you about something else. Kuren says, of course. He watches you eagerly. Arismital says, tell me more about your skills. Kuren says, I check for soul connections, looking for lost things, missing things, or troublesome things, particularly where people of power and influence are concerned. I'm a cipher. In Air Glanfath, we were once known as Brishalgwyn, mine hunters. Nice title, yes, but it wasn't until the Animancers began working with my kind 40 years ago that we truly understood our power. Now we make some of the best detectives in the world. Tracing souls, we can look at a person and see where they have been, or look at the weapon and see who has touched it. Kuren's nose twitches as he looks at you. Useful for solving crimes, as you can imagine. Wow, being a cipher is very useful in our world. Imagine how many crimes can be solved because they can see who touched what, and they can see where someone has been. But I don't like it. It is an incursion to privacy, right? At least in my opinion it is. I don't like this. But perhaps in the universe of this game, if there's a cipher able to do these things, maybe there are also people who possess the skills to cover up their tracks and their crimes. Maybe a fellow ciphers, or using some other methods to obfuscate the ciphers. Investigation. Arismital says, I have questions about the missing people. Kuren nods. What do you wish to know? Arismital says, I'll let you know what I find. Farewell. Dunrid agencies. There are no secrets in Defiance Bay, not while we're around. Bunch of stalkers. The scrolls are wedged tightly in the shelves. Each has a name scrawled along the outside. This map shows the environs surrounding Defiance Bay. Flags mark strategic access points to the city. Some of these vintages are even older than Defiance Bay. Oh, drinks? A group of notes speculate about the identity and location of a secret sect in Defiance Bay. Secret sect in Defiance Bay? Is it referring to the Leaden Key?
I'll handle this. It's done. I'll have this open in no time. It's done.
Either these notes are written in code, or the author's handwriting is atrocious. Affixed to the wall are leads in a case involving, apparently, a caravan that disappeared en route to New Heomara. The notes are scribbled in a cryptic shorthand. Pictures of all manner of folk are pinned to this board alongside notes scribbled in an indecipherable shorthand. Oh, like in detective movies? Connection pictures. Pictures of people and their connections with each other. Dunread Agencies, Lady Webb will see you now.
I'll have this open in no time. It's done.
The notes are scribbled in a cryptic shorthand. Lady Webb, this woman clutches a thick stack of parchment with spindly wrinkled fingers, their flesh stretched thin to near translucence with extreme age, a gossamer veil over pale blue veins. Ink splotches and candle burns dot and stripe her hands like a quilt patterned after some great indescribable truth. She does not look up from her reading.
So, the messenger conveyed my summons. A miracle that would make the reincarnation of Aothis look like a child's cantrip, surely. It doesn't draw the most inspired minds, messaging. They failed me so many times of late, I nearly sent a cipher after you instead. So this is the Watcher who took over Cad Noir. Oh, don't look so surprised. It isn't an attractive expression. I wouldn't be where I am for long if I let details like that escape me.
Lady Webb glances up from her readings for the first time and looks you over. Adair says, "This is exactly what I would picture Alot's mother to be like." What? Why do you say that, Adair?
Since then, as I understand it, you entered a quarantine district that is absolutely off limits to all civilians and somehow managed to walk back out with your life. What could possibly have been on your mind to make you do such a thing?
Aris Mittal says, "I'm investigating a strange group." Lady Webb says, "Strange does not begin to describe them. The practices of the Leaden Key defy all reason." Ah, she knows about Leaden Key.
You're not the only one with an interest in their recent activities. I've lost 4 ciphers this year alone trying to get someone inside their ranks. As it is, we only have our suspicions about who is in the group and what they intend, which I suppose means we have much in common with them. I asked you here because I wanted to know what your interest was in all of this. I thought perhaps we might help each other. Why are you looking for the Leaden Key?
Aris Mittal says, "One of their members caused my soul to awaken. I need him to reverse it." Lady Webb closes her eyes and the lids flicker. Then her face goes still and her mouth parts, little more than a sliver, and her hand briefly drops open, spilling some of her parchment to the ground. The pages wafting around her legs like the leaves of a dying tree. Her fleshy eyelids peel back, and her gaze is immediately upon you.
The gods are cruel, I'm afraid. The man you seek is Theos Ix Arcanon, Grand Master of the Leaden Key. One of the most elusive and dangerous men Eora has ever known.
Theos Ix Arcanon? The most elusive and dangerous man Eora has ever known? Who is he actually? Aris Mittal asks, "How do you know I seek Theos?"
Because you have seen his face, and that makes it a simple matter for me to see it. You even happened to catch him in his ceremonial garb, it seems. It must have been a special occasion.
So she peers into my thoughts and see what I saw? This is a violation of privacy. All right, I will be siding with the dozens. Wait. The dozens are against animancy. They didn't mention anything about Cypher. But my stance remains the same. I don't like this breach of privacy. If there is ever a point in my journey that I have to side against you, I will do it. Leave my head alone. And my private stuff as well. Arismital asks, what can you tell me about Thaus?
More than most, though very few would know so much as his name. And there is no way of knowing how much of what I've read is true. The leaden key dates back more than 2,000 years. If rumors are to be believed, Theos was the one who created it.
2,000 years ago. So Thaus is at least 2,000 years old. He's immortal.
What scraps of evidence exist suggest that he has died many times, only to be reborn each time exactly the same man, awakened during adolescence with all the knowledge and experience of all his lifetimes. The plots he orchestrates sometimes take hundreds of years to bear fruit. Needless to say, this is not the natural order of things. But he is said to be one of Woodica's favored, and that old bat was never one to let rules get in the way of favoritism.
Ah, so he's not actually immortal. He dies, but then his soul is reborn again, exactly the same man, and awakened with all of his past memories and experience of all his lifetimes. I see. So he is a favored of Wodica. The ruined temple at First Fires, isn't it dedicated for Wodica? Or was I imagining things? Maybe I read it somewhere. Or maybe some NPC talked about it. I don't remember. Lady Webb refers to Wodica as that old bat, who was never one to let rules get in the way of favoritism. Okay, so she implies that Wodica does not adhere to the rules that the gods are working under. And she refers to Wodica as an old bat. Interesting. This is the second time I met someone who refers to a god or a goddess in such a humanly manner. Durans referring to Magran as a whore, and now Lady Webb referring to Wodica as old bat.
That may also explain another supposed gift of his. His body is no boundary to his soul, and he is known to take possession of others, if their souls are weak enough. Often it is for elaborate deceptions, but sometimes he simply forces them to kill themselves. He is not known for his generous supply of pity.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Lady Webb said it was not the natural way of things regarding Theos' reincarnation. So Wodica interferes with how things should be to give Theos an advantage. So what is Theos' mission? Is he doing Wodica's bidding? What is Wodica's bidding?
He is also not one to show himself in any but their most critical matters. If he has directly involved himself in whatever the group plots now, it may be your only chance to find him. And once you do find him, if you can find him, I would not hold my hopes too high if I were you. He is a driven, single-minded man. He will not have the slightest concern for your problems.
Iris Mittal asks, how do you know so much about Thaos?
The same way I come by all my knowledge. Exhaustive research, spying, bribery, perhaps some less savory measures. Whatever the knowledge demands, I pay in full. There is nothing of greater value. Unfortunately, with Theos, there is also nothing more scarce. He has covered his tracks far too well. His manipulations of the course of history are lost to time now, though I believe they were many.
You told me all these things about Thaos, and yet you didn't tell me what is his goal. Perhaps Lady Webb also doesn't know what Thaos's goals are. Iris Mittal asks, what else is there to know about the leaden key?
Precious little, I'm afraid. You may know much of it already. No one member knows the identity of more than a handful of other members. They are kept in the dark of missions they are not involved in, or sometimes of those they are involved in. They exist to hide secrets they themselves don't know. If you can imagine how gullible someone must be for that to appeal.
So, what is it? What is the term for this? Compartmentalization? Is that it?
Despite that, they are very good at what they do, owing much to their founder, who will take matters into his own hands when necessary. And he does not fail.
Iris Mittal asks, what do you want from me? Hey, slow it down. What do you want from me?
Keep me informed. The leaden key has been busy lately, and that is distressing news. I can only guess as to what they intend. You seem to have a knack for turning the stones they've crawled beneath. Keep turning them. Dunreed Row will not stop you. Whatever it is they're up to, figuring it out will be of great use to both of us. In your case, it will surely point you to Theos. In return, I will share our knowledge with you as we learn it, and provide you with what assistance I can.
Iris Mittal asks, and if I refuse?
Then you would look foolish because it is a standing offer. There is no need to refuse.
Okay, sorry.
If you find your trail has run cold, come to me with whatever you have. There is much I may be able to do for you.
Iris Mittal says I have other questions.
Yes?
Iris Mittal says, tell me more about Dunreed Row.
All the things there are to know in this world, and you ask me about work. Deerwood is a rebel country. Conflict is in its blood. If you think a few guards posted in our cities keep chaos at bay, you are very new to town indeed.
Lady Webb shakes her head irritably. Sorry, my lady. I am curious, and I am dumb. So please bear with me.
We are Deerwood cipher investigators, of course. But what we really are is its last barrier against anarchy. People are more at ease when they believe they are watched over by someone more enlightened than they are. It pacifies them. So that is the image we foster. And we do try to be enlightened for their sake. The knowledge we gather here is Deerwood's standing army in many ways. We learn what's vital and we act on it while Deerwood sleeps. blissfully unaware of the terrifying truths all around them. I wish I could tell people the things I know sometimes, but the truth is I don't think many of them could bear it.
So you guys are like the deep state, yeah? So who first established Dunrid Row? I'm curious who first established Dunrid Row. And was Dunrid Row established before or after Dirwood independence from Idir Empire? Yeah. Wait. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe Dunrid Row is not like the deep state. Maybe they're like the intelligence agency. But the way she talks about Dunrid Row is as if they are independent and autonomous, not answering to anyone. More powerful than the rulers of this country, perhaps. So they are the deep state. No one knows about them. Interesting. Arismital asks, how did you come to be here?
Me? I started this place, in a different time, under a different duke. I impressed the duke with my research and my work ethic, and he became possessed of the notion that I would be ideal to lead a secret network of gifted investigators. I don't know how such an idea got into his head.
Lady Webb winks. You sly you. So you're the one who put the seed of the idea into the Duke's head. Did you use your cipher ability to do that? If that is true, then it was mind control. I'm beginning to hate more towards this group. Well, hate may be a strong word, but I really dislike it. I really dislike their abilities and their methods. Arismital asks, how old are you? Lady Webb gives a half-hearted gasp and covers her mouth with her crumpled fingers. You wicked man, where are your manners? Were you raised without a shred of decency? Well, I am an aristocrat. I was raised not having to worry about decency. I do what I want. But at least I'm not a bad aristocrat. I ruled my subjects fairly. And I support justice. Maybe.
I lost count ages ago. Such a strange thing to celebrate, getting closer to death. Oh, I've had my share of work done to prolong my existence, if that's what you're wondering. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not done here. There are things I still wish to learn. And I'll be the effigy if I let Bereth carry me off before I'm through.
Lady Webb drops the facade. And how do you prolong your existence? Please don't tell me it requires kith sacrifices. Huh?
There was a time when I considered enlisting the theorems of Pondgrum to extend my life indefinitely. I found the thought of devouring my political enemies to sustain my own life greatly appealing. I must have gone soft with age.
The fact you told me this is really worrying. I really need to be wary of you, Lady Webb, and your organization. And what's this? Theorems of Pondgrum. I'll keep that in mind. Arismital asks, are you a psychic?
If you are hoping I can look at your hand and tell you whom you should marry, you can just wipe that notion from your mind. I do not know what will happen tomorrow. That is what I pay spies for. Being a cipher is not unlike being a watcher. You notice more about what is already there. Many can hold an object and know where it's been, or peer into the thoughts of people around them. They can also sometimes affect those thoughts, but that would be unethical, of course. A tiny, talented few pick up so much about the world around them, they can get images of things to come, but these are fleeting and unreliable.
Lady Webb cocks a painted eyebrow. You're so old you lost your eyebrows, I guess, that you have to paint them on your face. Unethical to affect those thoughts? Oh, please. Drop the charade, Lady Webb. You did imply you were putting ideas into the Duke's head for you to lead this organization, to establish and lead this organization. Don't play coy. Arismital says, "You said you don't know what will happen tomorrow."
Who said I was talented? I don't. Least not that I can trust. And with me, it's only ever about one thing anyway.
Arismital asks, What's that?
A quiet day at home.
Lady Webb glances back behind her, toward a small table, and a queer smile finds its way across her face. A quiet day at home? Arismital.
If you are hoping I can look at your... Many can hold an object and know where it's been, or peer into the thoughts of people around them. Who said I was talented? I don't. Least not that I can trust. And a quiet day at home.
Arismital asks, "Is there a Lord Webb?"
There was.
Arismital asks what happened to him. "Please don't tell me you killed him. Please."
He believed in dying with dignity. He was old-fashioned that way, my husband. We saw the world very differently, he and I. But he was good to me while he lasted.
Oh, I see. Okay. Arismital says, "Let's talk about something else." Lady Webb looks at you expectantly. Arismital says, "I have other questions."
Yes?
Arismital says, "There is something I can tell you about the Leaden Keys operations."
Well, let's hear it.
Arismital says, "The Engwithan Tower in Heritage Hill contains an ancient machine that can control the flow of souls. The Leaden Key activated it."
This is troubling. That civilization seems to have known more about the mechanics of souls than anyone since. The Leaden Key was born in that period. It may be that Theos has full knowledge of their technology. The applications of this machine you speak of, I don't want to think about it.
So the Leaden Key was born during the time of the Engwithan. Interesting.
If we can learn more about their goals and methods, perhaps we can get the palace behind us. With Avar's support, we may be able to put a stop to this.
Ivar, the Duke, you mean? Arismital says, "That is all." Lady Webb says, "This progress is encouraging. I only hope that we are not too late."
Yes?
Arismital says, "Farewell."
Try your best not to die out there.
Then send your agents to help me then in my quest.